Have you ever wondered how something so small and invisible could quietly exist within the body for years without making its presence known at all? This is not just a medical question, it is a deeper reflection on how we often overlook what we cannot immediately feel or see in the silent corners of human health conditions. Like trichomonas can remain hidden, teaching us that absence of pain does not always mean absence of harm. This quiet persistence is what makes the topic both unsettling and deeply important, especially for women who may believe that no symptoms means no problem. In the thoughtful and compassionate teachings of Dr. Patricia J. Johnson, we are reminded that the body speaks in subtle ways. Sometimes whispering rather than shouting, she emphasizes that certain infections can live quietly within the vaginal environment, adapting, surviving, and slowly influencing overall health. Without obvious warning signs, this idea challenges the common belief that illness must always announce itself loudly. Instead, it invites a new awareness, one rooted in listening to the body, even when it seems quiet and calm, because sometimes what we ignore today becomes what shapes our well-being tomorrow in ways we never expected. Imagine carrying something for months or even years without realizing it, something that subtly shifts the natural balance of your body, something that slowly changes the environment meant to protect and nourish you. This is the reality for many individuals who unknowingly live with chronic infections. It is not always dramatic or painful in the beginning, but it is quietly transformative, shaping the internal landscape in ways that may only become visible much later, and that is where awareness becomes power, not fear, but understanding, not panic, but preparation, because the truth is knowledge gives us the ability to act before something hidden becomes something harmful. As we begin this journey of understanding, it is important to recognize that the body is always communicating even when we do not fully understand its language. The question is not just whether something can exist unnoticed, but whether we are willing to pay attention before it demands our focus in more serious ways. This is where curiosity meets responsibility, and where a simple question opens the door to deeper awareness about our health, our habits, and our future well-being, because sometimes the most important discoveries are not the loudest ones, but the quiet truths that have been waiting patiently for us to finally notice and understand before they evolve into something far more difficult to confront or reverse in the future than we ever imagined or expected at the beginning of this journey toward awareness and self-care and lasting health balance today. So let this be the moment you begin to listen more closely to what is not immediately visible, trusting that awareness is the first step toward protection and long-term health stability in your life, moving forward with intention and clarity every single day ahead of you from now on. What if the most dangerous aspect of a condition is not the discomfort it causes, but the silence in which it grows? This is where the story deepens and where a subtle sense of suspense begins to take shape, because the longer something remains undetected, the more opportunity it has to influence the body in ways that are not immediately understood. Trichomonas is one such presence, often described as a quiet intruder that adapts to its environment, blending into the natural rhythms of the body while slowly disrupting the balance that keeps vaginal health stable and resilient over time. This imbalance may not feel urgent yet. It quietly shifts the internal ecosystem, creating conditions that can lead to inflammation, sensitivity, and increased vulnerability to other infections. Dr. Patricia J. Johnson often highlights that chronic infections do not appear overnight. They are the result of time, adaptation, and the body's complex response to an uninvited presence. She explains that when something like Trichomonas remains untreated, it can gradually influence the vaginal microbiome, altering the protective bacteria that serve as a first line of defense. This change may be so subtle that it escapes immediate attention, yet its impact can extend far beyond what is visible, affecting comfort, confidence, and even reproductive health in ways that unfold slowly rather than suddenly. And this is where the tension builds, because what begins as something unnoticed can evolve into something that requires more attention, more care, and sometimes more intervention than if it had been addressed earlier. There is a quiet moment in this realization, a pause where awareness meets concern, Because the question shifts from can this exist unnoticed to what happens if it continues to remain unnoticed. The body is incredibly resilient, but it's not invincible and prolonged. Imbalance can create a ripple effect that touches multiple aspects of health. This is not meant to create fear, but to awaken a deeper sense of responsibility toward self-care and regular health screenings, especially after the age of 30 when hormonal changes and lifestyle factors can influence how the body responds to infections and maintains its natural balance. In this unfolding narrative, the suspense is not dramatic but deeply personal because it lives in the unknown, in the possibility that something may be present without clear signs urging us to take action. It invites a moment of reflection about how often we rely on symptoms alone as indicators of health, when in reality some of the most important signals are the ones we cannot easily detect. And as this awareness settles in, it becomes clear that waiting for obvious discomfort may not always be the best approach, because by the time something becomes undeniable, it may have already shaped the internal environment in ways that take time and effort to restore, reminding us that proactive care is not just a choice but a powerful form of self-respect and long-term wellness protection in a world where silence does not always mean safety and where awareness can quietly become the difference between prevention and complication over time. And so the journey comes full circle, not with fear, but with a renewed sense of clarity and empowerment. Because understanding what can remain hidden within the body is not meant to alarm, but to awaken a deeper commitment to self-awareness and proactive care. The truth is that health is not only about responding to what is obvious, but about honoring what is possible beneath the surface. And this is where the wisdom shared by Dr. Patricia J. becomes a guiding light, encouraging individuals to take ownership of their well-being through knowledge consistency and mindful attention to their bodies, especially as they move beyond the age of 30, when regular sexual health screenings become not just recommended, but essential for long-term balance and protection. There is something profoundly empowering about choosing to know, rather than waiting to be told by symptoms that something is wrong. It shifts the narrative from reaction to intention, from uncertainty to confidence. Because when individuals make regular screenings a part of their routine, they are no longer relying on chance, they are actively participating in their own health journey. This simple yet powerful decision creates a layer of protection that goes beyond physical wellness. It builds peace of mind, it strengthens self-trust, and it reinforces the understanding that prevention is always more powerful than correction, especially when dealing with conditions that may not immediately reveal themselves. As this awareness deepens, it becomes clear that the body is not an enemy to be feared, but a partner to be understood, one that requires attention, patience, and respect in order to function at its best. The idea that something like Trichomonas can exist without clear symptoms is not just a medical fact, it is a reminder that silence within the body should never be mistaken for complete certainty of health. Instead, it invites a more thoughtful approach, one that values regular checkups, open conversations with healthcare providers, and a willingness to prioritize long-term wellness over short-term assumptions, because true care is not passive, it is intentional, and it's built on the foundation of informed decisions made consistently over time. In the end, the message is not about the infection itself, but about the mindset. It inspires a mindset rooted in awareness, responsibility, and self-respect. It's about recognizing that the most important relationship you have is the one you maintain with your own health, and that nurturing this relationship requires action even when everything seems fine on the surface, because sometimes the greatest strength lies in addressing what cannot be seen before it has the chance to become something that can no longer be ignored. And in that quiet decision to stay informed, to stay proactive, and to stay committed to your well-being, you create a future that is not defined by uncertainty, but guided by knowledge, balance, and a deep sense of control over your own life and health, moving forward with confidence and purpose every single day. If you are benefiting from our topics, please subscribe, like, and turn on the bell notification so you can see our new videos early.